We're going to be heading back to the mountains by taking US 34 westbound. Come on, let's go. Alright, Wednesday we're going to be doing the other direction of US Highway 34. We're going to be going from Chicago and head back into the Rocky Mountains. And just like last year, we're also going to be doing Nebraska's Interstate 180. And just like eastbound, US 34 westbound is decently signed along its route. And there is also some more Colorado inconsistencies. So, grab your bear gear and let us get back to US 34 westbound. But first, you're watching The DerpHog, where I make highways content on all sorts of different topics. If you've been enjoying it, be sure to hit that like button. And if you've been really enjoying it, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you're notified on all future videos. And if you really want to help out the channel, become a member today where you get custom cool emojis, early access to future videos, along with one free extra request per month. And if you don't want to become a member, you can always just pay $3 for a intersection request in future videos. Those highways will be listed down in the description below, and I'll make sure to shout you out when that video releases. So let's get on with the highway. As you can see here, this is the map of US Highway 34 once again, and we're going to be starting in the suburb of Berwyn, Illinois, and head west all the way out to Granby, Colorado, where we're going to be ending at US Highway 40. So with that, going westbound on US 34. So we're actually going to begin 1.5 miles south of the 34 eastern terminus on Interstate 55 here, where we're going to be taking the exit for Illinois Highway 43 for Harlem Avenue. Also, this is my own picture when I went up to Chicago back in September of last year. And once we get onto the ramp, we're going to be taking a right turn here onto Route 43 northbound. And if we follow Illinois 43 for 1.5 miles, we actually end up here at Ogden Avenue, which is the start of US Highway 34. And if you also take a right turn here, you'll be following historic Route 66, which is a pretty cool and interesting road. But we're going to be taking a left turn onto 34 here. And once we turn onto Ogden Avenue, we do get a Begin US 34 westbound sign, so that is awesome by IDOT here. And our first major junction is with 1st Avenue, once again here in Brookfield. And then we meet with the LaGrange Road in LaGrange, Illinois. And then next we meet with the Tri-State Tollway here, and we see that going this direction is getting signed north for Wisconsin, which is okay. I mean, I prefer to see like maybe a control city instead of just a control state, but that's how things are done in Chicagoland. And then here we meet Main Street once again in Downers Grove, and if you take a right turn here, it will take you up to Interstate 88. But we also meet with Interstate 88 ourselves, along with Interstate 355, and 355 going this direction is being signed for Northwest Suburbs, while 88 westbound is getting signed for Aurora. Here we meet with Illinois Highway 53 once again, and here in Naperville we meet with Illinois Highway 59, and Illinois Route 59 was actually requested by Interstate 59 Productions, so thank you for that request. And then outside of Oswego, we reunite with US Highway 30, and we're going to have a short concurrency with it as we head towards downtown. And here's where US 30 splits off from US Highway 34 as it's being signed for Montgomery, Illinois, while we're going to be heading into downtown Oswego. And here in Oswego, we meet with Illinois Highway 71, and we're going to be taking a right turn here. And we finally get our first mileage sign once we're finally out of Chicagoland, and we can see that Plano, Illinois is our primary from 10 miles away. But once we pass through Plano, we actually now get another mileage sign, and Mendota is now our primary from 33 miles away, and Sandwich is our secondary. Man, I would like a sandwich right now, please. Here we meet with Illinois Highway 23 in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and we're going to have a short concurrency with it. But skipping ahead to the Mendota area, we meet with Interstate 39 and US Highway 51, and they're getting the same control cities that we saw going eastbound on 34. Rockford is fine for northbound, while southbound should definitely be maybe like Bloomington or Springfield, not LaSalle, Peru. We also meet with US Highway 52 here in Mendota, so that is pretty cool. And on our next mileage time, we're now getting Princeton as our next primary from 24 miles away, which is a good choice because that's where we meet with US Highway 6. Here we go under Interstate 80 here, and we're now going to be south of it all the way up until Lincoln. And here in Princeton, we meet with US Highway 6 and Illinois Route 26. And this picture of the 34 in US 6 junction was provided by Quarter Munch 437, so thank you for this picture. And here's where 6 and 34 split off for the first time, as 6 will be heading to Genoso while we're going to be heading to Kewanee. And if you want to check out a series on US Highway 6, it's in the top right corner here. But we will be reuniting with it later on down the road. But in our next mileage time, we're now getting Kewanee as our primary from 12 miles away. I mean, I would prefer to see something beyond 12 miles, please, IDOT. But after going through Neponset, we actually now get another mileage time, and Galesburg becomes our primary from 48 miles away. So that is an awesome choice. And skipping ahead to the Galesburg area, meet with the Interstate 74, getting signed for Peoria and Moline and Rock Island respectively. We also meet with US Highway 150, which 150 westbound is getting signed for Alpha. And since US Highway 34 is actually a throughway in this part, we're now getting signed west for Monmouth as our next control city, which is a great choice because that's where we meet with US Highway 67. Here we meet with US Highway 67, and US 67 and 34 are going to be heading around the city of Monmouth. Here's where we split off from US Highway 67 as we're now getting signed for Burlington, Iowa, which is a great choice. At least IDOT gives us a control city. Why can't Iowa do the same on their side of the Mississippi? Come on, man. And on our next mileage time, we are getting Burlington as our primary from 27 miles away. But for some reason, IDOT just wants to stick to Burlington and not sign something beyond Burlington, Iowa. I would like to see maybe like Mount Pleasant, Iowa, too on this mileage sign. Not just Burlington, but Iowa. And here we are crossing the Mississippi and into the state of Iowa. So let us see if Iowa is doing better on westbound than they did on eastbound. And look at that, we actually get a Welcome to Iowa sign. So that is a step up from going eastbound on US 34. And here we meet with US Highway 61 getting signed for Fort Madison. And let us take a look on US 61 once again to see what our next control city is. Hey, we're now getting signed for Mount Pleasant, which is a great choice. Well done, Iowa. Now can you please give us a control for eastbound 34? Here in Mount Pleasant we meet with US Highway 218, and we're now going to have a concurrency with it as we head towards Ottumwa and Iowa City. Here's where we split off from US Highway 218, as that will head up to Iowa City, and we're now getting signed west for Ottumwa as our next major control city. Our next mileage sign, Ottumwa is our primary from 44 miles away. Here in Ottumwa, we meet with US Highway 63, we're now going to be concurrent with it as we head into the city, while 63 northbound is being signed for Oskaloosa. Here's where we split off from US Highway 63 as it will head south towards Bloomfield, and we're now getting signed for west for Albia. Our next mileage time, we actually get Sheraton as our primary from 47 miles away, and I think that's an okay choice because Sheraton is actually slightly bigger than Albia by like 1,000 people, so I agree with that. Sheraton, on our next mileage time, we actually now get Osceola as our next primary from 23 miles away. And then this is in Lucas, Iowa, and we're going to be joining with US Highway 65 for a short concurrency. And then we can see that once we split off from US Highway 65, 65 is getting signed north for Indianola, while we're getting signed for Osceola still, which is a good choice. And skipping ahead to Osceola, we actually meet with US Highway 69 here, but there is no signage, unlike going eastbound on US 34, sadly. And then we also meet with Interstate 35, getting the same control cities that we saw going on eastbound US 34. And on Interstate 35, we can see that our next control city is now Creston, which is a good choice. On our way to Creston, we meet with US Highway 169 here, and we can see that we're now added on the control city of Mount Ayr. And here's where US 169 splits off from US Highway 34 to head south towards Mount Ayr, while we're going to be heading west towards Creston. And here in Creston, we're now getting signed for Corning, Iowa from 14 miles away. And here in Corning, Iowa, we're now getting signed west for Red Oak, while this one specific highway is going toward Bedford, Iowa. And here in the middle of nowhere, Iowa, for some reason we have just two random poles sitting in the middle of nowhere. But if we actually go back in time, we can see that this was the US Highway 71 junction. It's just the 71 sign fell off at some point between this specific picture and current street view. But if you want to check out a series on US 71, it's in the top right corner here. Definitely recommend it. And here in Red Oak, we're now getting signed west for Glenwood, which is a good choice because that's where we meet with US Highway 275 and Interstate 29. Here we meet with US Highway 59 getting signed for Emerson and Oakland once again, and we're still getting signed west for Glenwood. Here we meet with US Highway 275 and 275 and 34 are going to be concurrent here. Here's where we're split off from US Highway 275, as they'll be joining with Interstate 29 here, getting signed for Council Bluffs, while 29 southbound is getting signed for Kansas City. That 29 northbound should definitely be Omaha because it meets Interstate 80, and 80 will take you into Omaha. It also meets with Interstate 480, which is the main exit for downtown, so I don't know why Iowa is being provincial and signing their side of Council Bluffs. Boo. And here we are crossing over the Missouri River and into the state of Nebraska. And here in Plattsmouth, Nebraska, we meet with US Highway 75 proper, and we're not going to have a concurrency with it as we head towards Lincoln and Nebraska City. In fact, our next mileage time, we only just get Nebraska City as our primary from 25 miles away. No, I want to see something for US Highway 34 here, please, Nebraska. Here's where we split off from US Highway 75 as it's being signed for Nebraska City, and we're now getting signed for Union in Lincoln, so that is awesome. In our next mileage time, we get a wrong way one once again, and we get Lincoln as our secondary from 28 miles away, and Eagle as our primary from 13. And skipping ahead to the Lincoln area, we're now entering into downtown Lincoln, so that is pretty cool. And here is my lovely graph of once again of telling you how to get to the Nebraska State Capitol from US Highway 34. And now we're going to be joining with Interstate 180 here, and we also get a sign telling us that if you want to get to Interstate 80, you can take 34 and 180, or we can stay straight on this specific road here. And here is signage for Interstate 180, and we can see that 180 and 34 are now getting signed for Lincoln Airport, while this specific exit here will take you to the University of Nebraska Lincoln Stadium, so that is pretty cool. And here is the exit for the indirect intersection with US Highway 6 being signed for Cornhusker Highway, and will take you to the airport. And here in the exit 1 for Superior Street, and we can see that we're coming up with the Interstate 80 junction soon in a quarter of a mile. And if we actually take a look on Superior Street here, we can see that we're now getting signed 34 west for nothing apparently, which I do not like. Also, this picture was also provided by Quarter March 437, so thank you. And here's the ending to Interstate 180. As we can see, we have a pull-through for end Interstate 180, while we can see Interstate 80 proper is being signed for Omaha and the airport respectively, while for some reason we're getting signed west for an air park. I have no idea what the air park is supposed to mean, but I do not want to see it as a control city. I definitely want to see maybe something like York or Seward, Nebraska, not just some random air park that we have no idea what it is. Oh, also we meet with US Highway 77. In fact, but on our next mileage time, we do get York as our primary from 44 miles away. Here in York, we meet with US Highway 81, and we're now going to have a concurrency with it. And here, on our next mileage time, we actually now get Grand Island as our next primary from 44 miles away, so it looks like that they're favoring US 34 here while on the 81 concurrency. Here's where we're split off from US Highway 81, as US 34 is going to be heading west towards Grand Island. In fact, our next mileage time, we actually now get Grand Island as our primary still from only 43 miles away this time. So it looks like that concurrency with 81 was only like a mile long. And once we get closer to Grand Island, we just get Grand Island as a one-liner from only 7 miles away. I mean, I would like to see Hastings on here too, because that's the next major place we'll be passing through after going south of Grand Island. Here, just south of downtown Grand Island, we meet with US Highway 281, and we're now going to have a concurrency with it as we head over towards Interstate 80 and Hastings. Here we meet with Interstate 80 once again, and this time we are going to be completely south of it for the rest of the journey here. And we can see we're getting signed for Hastings, while 80 is getting signed west for Kearney. I mean, yeah, I guess that's okay. Kearney, Nebraska is a big city along in this portion of Nebraska, but Denver would be a better choice and would be a cool choice too, but I'm okay with Kearney here. And on Interstate 80, we can see that we are getting signed for Hastings, which is a good choice. Also, this picture was also provided by Quarter Munch 437 once again. In our next mountain chime, we do get Hastings as our primary from 16 miles away, so that is awesome. Here in Hastings, we're going to be joining with US Highway 6, and we're going to have a long concurrency with it, so yay. In our next mountain chime, we now get Holdridge as our primary from 53 miles away, with Minden as our secondary. And here in Holdridge, we meet with US Highway 183, and 6 and 34 are going to continue west. And next mountain chime, we get Atlanta on the top line, not the Atlanta, Nebraska. Arapahoe from 32 miles away, and McCook now is our primary. Here in Arapahoe, we meet with US Highway 283, and US 6 and 34 are still concurrent as we head towards McCook. And here's where we meet with US Highway 83 in the McCook area. And here's we get another mileage sign with Imperial now as our primary from 61 miles away. That is on solely 6 by itself. Outside of Culberson, Nebraska, we're finally splitting off from US Highway 6, but this is not the last time we'll be seeing it because we are going to have one more concurrency in Colorado here. In our next mileage time, we're now getting Brinkleman as our primary from 39 miles away. And normally I would be against this kind of stuff, but Brinkleman is actually the biggest place in Nebraska left that we'll be passing through, despite it only being like 800 people. So it's okay here. But here in Brinkleman, we get another surprising mileage sign, just like they did on 6 westbound. We can see that we're now getting signed for Denver from 205 miles away. This is awesome, Nebraska. Well done. You're carrying over that US 6 energy and putting on US 34 as well. And here we are entering into the state of Colorado. Let's see if Colorado will be inconsistent or will they actually be good going on US 34. Here in Ray, we're meeting with US Highway 385 here as it's inside north for Holyoke, while we're going to be continuing towards Brush and Fort Morgan. But our next mileage time, we're actually now getting Akron as our primary from 54 miles away, which is okay. It's decently sized here in eastern Colorado. Our next mileage time, we do get Akron as, but our next mileage time, we actually now get Akron as our primary from 54 miles away. And here in Yuma, we're now getting Akron still as our primary from 27 miles away, which is okay because Akron is a pretty decently sized place here in eastern Colorado. It's not like 200 people or anything. And then here in Otis, we're now getting Brush as our primary from 36 miles away, which is an awesome choice. I mean, you can also go with Fort Morgan, but Brush is part of the Fort Morgan metro area. And plus it has like 5,000 people, so I'm okay with it. And then, but after going through Akron, we actually now get Fort Morgan as our primary from 31 miles away, so that is awesome here. When I originally was collecting pictures, I thought that US 34 actually joined the Interstate 76 way later than it normally does. So at first I thought that these were very terrible choices and Denver should be signed, but once I learned that US 34 actually goes through both of these places, I changed my mind and think these are now okay choices. Here with the road that'll connect you over to US Highway 6 eastbound and Interstate 76, but we're going to be continuing through both Brush and Fort Morgan here. Here me with the Colorado Highway 71 here, which will take you up towards Last Chance in Lyman. So it is your last chance to go to Lyman. Here, and we get another mileage sign, and we just get Brush in Fort Morgan once again from only 10 miles away now. Here in downtown-ish Fort Morgan, we meet with Colorado Highway 52, and that will actually take you into downtown, which looks like a nice little downtown, so I'd like to definitely check out Fort Morgan someday. And our next mileage sign, we actually now get Greeley as our primary from 51 miles away, so they're actually favoring 34 mainline here instead of just 76, which is okay, but I would prefer to see maybe like Denver on here too. And now we're going to be joining with Interstate 76 Western here for a good few miles or so. And here is where I split off from Interstate 76 as we're now getting signed west for Greeley and Estes Park. I mean, I get Greeley, that's where we meet with US Highway 85, and yes, while Estes Park is mainly like a resort town for the Rocky Mountain National Park, I actually would like to see Loveland instead, because Loveland is actually one of the biggest cities in the state of Colorado. Estes Park only has like 5,000 or 6,000 people and is way smaller, so I don't know why CDOT is favoring Estes Park here. In fact, our next mileage sign, Estes Park, is our primary from 88 miles away. I feel like that's kind of too far to sign Estes Park. Maybe once we pass Greeley, you can start signing it. But Loveland should definitely be on here. Skipping ahead to Greeley, we meet with US Highway 85 getting signed north for Cheyenne, while 34 westbound is getting signed west for Loveland, which is an awesome choice. And definitely does deserve a rare W here, because this is an awesome sign here in the state of Colorado. Here's where I split off from US Highway 85 as they'll head south to Denver, and we're going to be heading west towards Loveland still. And here in Loveland, we meet with Interstate 25 getting signed for Denver and Fort Collins respectively. And here we meet with US Highway 287, and we can see that US 287 does get a control city going this direction for northbound, and we can see that's getting signed for Fort Collins as well, while 287 southbound will take you into downtown Loveland, while we're heading west towards Estes Park and the Rocky Mountain National Park, so that is awesome. And here in Estes Park, we meet with US Highway 36 along with the road that'll take you over to Colorado Highway 7 here. And the next time we now get Grand Lake as our secondary from 49 miles away, which is where the western side of the entrance to the Rocky Mountain National Park is, and Granby as our primary from 62. And while here in the Rocky Mountain National Park, we'll meet the western terminus of US Highway 36 as they'll head towards Estes Park once again, and we're going to be heading west towards Grand Lake. Here we pass through some amazing scenery once again, and like I said in the eastbound video, I definitely want to check this place out someday. And here's some more amazing scenery. And just look at that, this is actually very high up, so I definitely will probably be scared about this. And here's the gate as we're exiting out of the park near Grand Lake. And our next mileage time, we now get Granby on the top line from 15 miles away, and Kremling now is our primary from 41. And our last mileage time here in Grand Lake, we now get Kremling as our primary from 41 miles away. While yes, that is actually on US Highway 40, I would actually prefer to see Steamboat Springs instead, because Kremling only has 1,500 people, while Steamboat Springs is the next major place that US 40 will be passing through after Granby. And also, Steamboat Springs is like 10 times the size of Kremling, so put Steamboat Springs on here, CDOT, or just have a one-liner and just do Granby from 15 miles away. No need for Kremling here. And then we finally end at US Highway 40 here in Granby, and US 40 eastbound will take you into downtown, while 40 westbound will take you up towards Kremling and Steamboat Springs. And sadly, unlike IDOT giving us an end shield, we do not get one here in the state of Colorado, but we do get some pretty amazing scenery, so that is something, I guess. So with that, we end US Highway 34 and move on to the way it should be. So these are all the places that I think should be signed on 34. Starting off with eastbound, I'll do Estes Park, then Loveland, then Greeley, then Fort Morgan, then Brush, then Yuma, then Ray. You could argue to go straight for McCook because that's what Nebraska does on their side of the border, but Benkelman would be an okay choice because it is the biggest place we'll be passing through on the way to McCook. Then after McCook, then Arapahoe, then Holdridge, then Hastings, then Grand Island, then York, then Seward, then Lincoln, then Plattsmouth, then Omaha because of US 75. Then after splitting off from US 75 and Plattsmouth, I would go straight for Glenwood, then Red Oak, then Creston, then Osceola, then Cheriton, then Onwa, then Mount Pleasant, then Burlington, then Monmouth, then Galesburg, then Kewanee, then Princeton, then Mendota, next Oswego, then Naperville, then Downers Grove, and Brookfield, and finally Berwyn, or you can just go straight for Chicago. Then for westbound, I'd start off with Brookfield, then do Downers Grove, then Naperville, then Oswego. All those can be interchangeably with other suburbs too if US 34 passes through. Then once we're out of Chicago, then Mendota, then Princeton, then Galesburg, then Monmouth, then Burlington, then Mount Pleasant, then Onwa, then Cheriton, then Osceola, then Creston, and Red Oak, and then Glenwood, then Plattsmouth, and once we're on 75, Nebraska City, then once we're off from 75, Lincoln, then Seward, then York, then Grand Island, then Hastings, then Holdridge, then Arapahoe, and then McCook. And I decided to skip Benkelman this direction because, like I said, since Nebraska signed McCook from the Colorado state line, I don't see why not signing Ray from McCook, because it would be cool to see. And after Ray, then I'll go for Yuma, then Brush, then Fort Morgan, then Greeley, then Loveland, not Estes Park, and then after Loveland, Estes Park, Granby, and finally Steamboat Springs instead of Kremling. And that ends US Highway 34. Thank y'all so much for watching this westbound US Highway 34 episode. I really had fun doing this entire series. And US 34 is actually a pretty well-signed Midwestern highway, except for that 1 mileage sign up in eastern Colorado. That was very terrible. And anyways, with that, here are my next few highways. If you have any intersection requests for any of these upcoming highways, please let me know down in the comment section below, and I'll make sure to shout you out once these highways release. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next week in the next couple weeks as we do US 29. Bye!